know whether there is. We'll see. Are there any values that are uniquely Australian? Well, we asked on Your Say, that's the part where you can actually Google into sweet and sour and answer questions, whether there are any unique Australian values, and you'll be surprised at what the results are. And we're going to talk about those in segment 2 of Sweet and Sour. The letters tonight are these. Invariably, she terminates the relationship before it starts, or worse. That's a mum who writes in about her daughter who has stopped having real relationships that go anywhere because she's Googling all the information on her prospective partners and going, ooh, he does this, ooh, he does that, and not going anywhere. Second letter tonight. Do we have any values that are uniquely Australian, and is it important to have uniquely Australian values? We're all humanity, we're all part of the planet. Maybe it's not so important to be unique. I, for one, third letter tonight, coming from Victoria, I, for one, will be switching to one of the smaller banks if I see or hear one ad against the banking levy, someone who doesn't like the big push in corporate Australia. All these letters and more coming up right now here on Sweet and Sour. Thanks for joining us.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour.
Very good. Very good. Anyway, more of that jaggy elevator music. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Lovely to have your company. Gary Mitchell with you for the next fun-filled half hour, depending on what some of the comments are that our panellists come out with. First up tonight, we haven't seen him this year, I don't think. Darren Mello, welcome, sir.
Is this the first time for 2017?
Well, maybe, yeah,
wow.
Could be.
And would this be, I'm trying to work, probably something going on 15 years worth of popping up on this panel?
Yeah.
It's a new panel, I noticed. You've made some improvements. I do.
Yeah. We polished it up and got rid of all the finger marks, just especially for you guys.
Just in time for me to come and put more on it. Lovely.
Welcome, Daz.
Lovely to be here, Mitch.
Good on you, mate. Beck, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you very much.
Are kids a buzz?
Yes, kids a buzz. Going very well, thank you. Just finished
Always
one lot of
is.
school holidays, and soon upon us will be the next lot.
A lot of school holidays. That's the wonderful
winter.
thing about school holidays.
So
isn't
indoor
it?
stuff,
It's
yeah.
just always
They're here.
there.
We're in June nearly already.
You set your calendar by school holiday. You know, at work, I look out the front door and I go, is it school holidays? If it's school holidays, it's going to be quiet because the mums are doing this and that and the other thing with it. If it's not school holidays,
Yeah.
Margy, are you done with school holidays?
I'm completely done with school holidays. My kids are grown up. And
Good for you.
yeah, so, I go to the cafe to find a bit of solace, and I get those very loud mothers all come in, and I think, those were the days.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, that's right.
Know that. I noticed a little bit of a squeak in your on your knee, which is it. What did you do? You told us you were going on the Bibbleman.
I went on the Bibbleman and I had a great time. It was fabulous. So I suggest to everybody that they go and walk the amazing Bibbleman track because...
In WA,
well, no, I didn't walk
those
the whole
that's
thing. It is
not
1,000
situated.
kilometres.
I was
So
gonna say, it is
no, I only
very
walked a
long.
little portion of it, a great portion of it,
Before a knee gave way.
before I fell down a hole and did my knee. But saying that, it was a wonderful experience.
You're
I've
selling
never
it very well.
camped
The injury
before,
really
so-
sells it.
Yeah.
Hasn't done you too bad.
Very unique thing to do, and it's a free activity, and it's
And
just a
wonderful,
great
healthy
activity.
thing to do. If you
Yeah.
don't bugger your knee on.
Oh, in the most beautiful, beautiful West Australian bushland.
Have you ever done that?
Oh, I've done a little bit of Bibbleman, yeah.
Have you, Darryl?
Yeah.
Back in the 70s.
Before.
But you've got something more exciting than that, apparently. What's happening in your life?
Oh, yes, we're starting a new tech business, all very exciting. So,
When are we allowed to say something about that?
end of June. So,
End of June, all right.
we'll be back,
That'll
we'll be
come
back
back
with
on.
more.
He's a brainiac.
But wait, there's more. Here we go. Dear Mitch and panellists, my daughter, 24, has been through too many prospective boyfriends. She doesn't sleep around or anything like that. She'll meet someone, and when it looks like they might have relationship potential, she'll Google any possible information in the public arena that's ever been put up on the net or web, whatever it's called. Invariably, she terminates the relationship before it starts. Or worse, confronts the poor chap about whatever she's learnt about him and doesn't like, and that will sour any chance of a relationship progressing. I'm so concerned that she's destroying her opportunities before they even launch that I'm writing to you. Am I wrong to be so concerned, or is Google a safe bet for everyone now? Katrina, South Perth, WA. Darren.
Oh, she's 24. She hasn't made her mind up yet. I think that's totally natural. And I don't blame anybody for doing a little Google research.
Me neither.
But you have to take it with a pinch of salt, really. I mean, I'd hate to think of the things that might pop. Mind you, I wonder what she's finding. Seriously, because there is...
Whatever he's posting.
Well, I guess so. But I can't imagine that anybody that isn't ridiculously stupid would be leaving too much compromising information around them about themselves out
Whatever
there.
you put up there, it's always going to be there.
Got to think about it.
Not even if you take
Relationships,
it down,
potential jobs,
right.
they're all going to be looking
Yeah.
at these things, so you've
Yeah.
got to be a little bit
Yeah.
careful. Yeah, I don't think Googling is necessarily the problem. I think she just needs to work out what she wants. It'll come.
And it's going to go on forever, and it's going to get worse. We're just in a very early phase of this tech revolution and the information revolution. What do you reckon?
I
Google
think
people
this
for a
is-
relationship?
Yeah, I think this is a true example of how social media has become our very own human resources. No need for a CV now. Just have a look on. Do a bit of a Google search. You just got to be careful what you post. Look. If I was single, I'd be doing a little bit of a Google search. I've got no problem doing that. If I've got time to waste. If he's posting derogatory things or about women or photos of
You're gonna
himself
find
or
out.
out, you are going to
You're gonna
find
find
out.
out.
You know what? If I'm buying a house, I'm going to Google it first, have a virtual look through. If I like it, then I'll get in my car and go and have a proper look.
What a wonderful thing. What a
So,
wonderful tool we have at
I
our
don't need to
disposal
leave
now.
my house. And I've Googled people before. I've got clients that I wouldn't even know, and I do a little bit of a Google search just to put a face to the name and have a look. If you've got nothing, it's open slather. And most
It's open
people
slather.
have got some form of social media, whether it's Facebook or whatever. So
You're never going to wind this back now that the genie's out of the
look,
bottle.
you know,
This is how it's going to happen.
I think we can base people by what they're doing, what kind of a person.
Of course. Margy, do you like the idea though?
Well, actually, I don't dislike it, and really, it's just a modern version of, asking your girlfriends, do you know this person
Yeah.
or do you know that person?
Yeah.
And through your friendship circles, you find out who everybody is. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just the modern way of sort of finding a bit of information. I do think that with any source of information, you have to make your own decisions about it. So it's not necessarily that, the information that you see, you take it all exactly as it is and, formulate there. Perhaps, take the information, take the word from someone else, put it all together, meet him, and then make your decision.
Last word, Daz. Can I ask you one question though?
Yes.
Do you think that the problem is not Google and it's this daughter who's overly critical anyway, and that's her predisposition?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I think you need to have a look. There's nothing wrong with having a look. That's just intelligent. But what this mother may be identifying is the naivety or the easiness with which some people can be trolled, and putting out false information really quickly or just having one hater could demoralise perhaps knight in shining armour.
Ruin you with a bad review every time.
Yeah, and so Denzel Washington was the one who said, you've got to be first in the media, it doesn't count if it's true or not. Well, that's sad. And so sometimes she might get caught out with something that's not true. So I agree with Mum that, it's fair to be concerned, try and educate her and say, like Darren said,
Not
pinch
to
of
be
salt.
too
Pinch of salt sometimes.
Too judgmental. Don't be too judgmental. We surveyed all our online viewers and asked them to answer this question: should everyone now Google prospective partners before they take any sort of relationship plunge? And the results are these coming up. There you go. 33% said yes, and 67% said no, don't Google. Well, guess what? Good luck. How are you going to stop people Googling from now on?
Yeah.
The world as it is.
It is. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Australian values. Do we have any that are unique?
No.
We'll see what the panel have to say.
Yes, we do.
I don't think we do either.
Not one.
But we'll see. We'll see what the chat is.
Destination fucked and other things like that.
I've actually got a few funny ones that I've got.
Aussie man reviews.
I've,
What's
geez,
that
where-
Aussie
where-
man review?
That guy, he's got 5 million followers on YouTube. He's from Perth. Ethan.
Getting in touch with Sweet and Sour is easy. Just head to sweetandsour.net.au to send us a letter. And while you're there, why not check out our past episodes? Plus, don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And for a behind-the-scenes look at Sweet and Sour, check us out on Instagram.
Yeah. And for every letter writer, we're going to send you to the movies, courtesy of Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. And there it is up there, Viceroy's House, the story of the last days of Imperial India, with Lord Louis and his wife Edwina presiding over the transition. Letter 2, here we go.
Prince Charles's favourite uncle.
Yeah, poor man. Dear Mitch and panellists, it strikes me as rather odd that I have no idea what the values are that represent Australia. I hear media commentators, politicians and my friends alike say that's un-Australian and that doesn't fit with Aussie values, but again, I have no idea what these values may be. I've asked my friends what our values may be and all of them come out with broad generalities that could apply to any nationality, but do we have any values at all that are uniquely Australian? And is it important to have uniquely Australian values? The only reason I ask is because it seems that the whole world, including Australia, seems to be seduced into a consumption mentality, and we argue the planet over about who has the right to be a consumer in whose market, and none of this makes any sense to me without a reference to values. If we haven't any agreed or common values, how do we build a society's direction? What do our political parties really represent if we don't have solid values? And then, if we don't have any agreed principles or values, it's no wonder progress in any direction is so slow in Australia. So I asked the panel to define what they think Australian values may be, please. And it comes to us from Liana of Croydon in South Australia. Darryl, any unique Australian values?
Well, I think so. Liana from South Australia. Yeah, look, I was thinking about this the other day. I think that one common thing which is a big part of our Australian community is our roads. In the Australian Constitution, all travel on Australian roads shall be free. Now, we don't have to put up with tolls like they do over in the eastern states, but I feel sometimes that we have an overemphasis on speed and cameras and revenue raising and that type of stuff. So, one thing, without going into diggers and Anzacs and war and that type of Aussie mentality, but I think Australians, and we all enjoy driving on our roads. We've got one of the vastest countries. Perth is one of the most isolated cities in the world.
That is in our constitution, isn't it?
That's in our constitution. We should enjoy our roads, and salutes to all the boys who manage the admin at WA Revenue Raisers Alert.
It's in WA, but what about Victoria, where you've got the U-tag system,
Yeah,
where you go over
to be them.
Yeah, beep, beep, or Sydney, where they've had a campaign recently.
Melbourne is un-Australian, clearly then.
Clearly un-Australian.
Put my foot down, I'll give the opportunity.
Hey, Lindsay Fox might be interested to know it's in the Constitution. Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Wow,
Yeah, it
didn't
is.
know that.
Free roads. Lindsay, you've got a constitutional challenge coming up.
But is that not a little bit similar to the concept of the autobahn and the way that they kind of
It
drive
is.
elsewhere? That's what's not really uniquely
It's
Australian.
having a usable culture rather than, or useful application of,
Well, that's a different take. Good take on it. Margy, what have you got that's uniquely Australian? Anything uniquely Australian?
I'm an old-fashioned girl. So I love that whole, I do love it that, we are very Australian or we're very un-Australian. So
But what's the
love
dividing line?
Well, I actually think that we're renowned internationally for being very honest, very hardworking, very reliable. But I think more than anything, it's
Tell that to the girl who's locked up in Colombia right now.
Yeah, well, she's a little bit un-Australian, I think, really. But my point is, I think that our main thing about being Australian is that you would always help a mate. And I think that that is what makes us Australian. So when a mate needs help, or a neighbour needs help, or someone in your community needs help, it's very Australian. We all bandy together and we all help. We'll do anything to help someone.
Is that unique though? It's
I
makeshift.
think it is a
It's
little bit
makeshift.
unique.
The label is
Do they
unique.
band
Makeshift.
together like that in other countries, like they do with
Yeah.
telethon and after fires and devastations, the way that people do over
I
here?
think they might.
don't
It's
know.
human
Do they?
nature, isn't it, to go to someone's rescue?
But it's very Australian, Gary.
Look, I've got
Might
very
be, but it
Australian.
might be.
I've got very Australian. I've got 4 here, but if I've got to chop them down, I will.
Okay.
Here's
Go
my
on.
4
4.
Australian values, Liana.
We love the beach.
The gift of the verge. You may take anything you want from a nature strip. Generations of Australians have been raised to cherish this principle. If you don't need it, chuck it on the front, and anyone who happens to be driving by, passing by,
That
sees it,
is-
they can grab it. Number 2,
That is a
sports
value.
obsessed. We believe
Sports
ourselves
obsessed.
to be unusually obsessed with sport.
We are.
All Australians are united in this belief.
Unique?
It's a wonderful, unique Australian value
Aussie rules it.
that nobody loves sport as much as us. Number 3, days off. We want a day off, we take it. Taking a day off from work is literally, for any reason at all, religious holidays, a fake birthday of a queen, a horse race, feeling a bit sick. anything. Hey, it's a nice day tomorrow. I'm going to go to the beach. No other country works as hard at coming up with reasons to not go to work than ours. And 4, larrikins. We are larrikins. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but we are.
I like it. All
Come
right.
on, Daz.
I'll add to that the combinations of 2 great Australian inventions, the Hills hoist and the goon bag. And put them together, and they are
we the
together.
goon bag?
We invented the goon bag.
We invented it. Oh,
And
who else would
Wi-Fi,
do it?
But
Of course
that's
it is.
probably a bit too fancy.
People are Googling goon bag now. You know that.
Absolutely. We surveyed our audience, and the question we asked was, do you agree that there are no unique Australian values? And here are the results, up on the screen right now.
Oh, they come in.
38% said yes, there are no unique Australian values. 62% said no.
Definitely. We've got Australian values.
Yeah.
Uniquely
But
Australian is a
unique?
tough bit, though.
Go to Anzac, go to Dig if you want to go back to the early
It's not
90s.
unique either. We're going to argue about this during the break. When we come back, we still won't have the answer for you, but come on back anyway. We'll see you then.
I think we should watch Australiana.
G'day, I'm Damon Lockwood. What do Donald Trump and Darryl Summers have in common? We both don't care about them anymore. Stick around for tonight's Sweet and Sour.
Very funny. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. Our audience is bopping away there to our tune. Dear panellists, I'm so incensed. After ripping us off for years, I can't believe the banks think that they had the same standing as the mining companies and are about to wage a huge campaign against the new tax levy imposed by the budget. It was only a few months ago that we were all calling for a royal commission into the banks, and I still am. See, they've upped the music now, haven't they? There you go. The levy is practically the only thing I liked in the budget, yet the banks, and that's only the big 5 at that, have decided to indulge themselves in such a huge sense of indignation they obviously believe they have the right to feel slighted. Yet their obscene profits are plain to see for everyone. To me, they are so wrapped up in the degenerative culture of money and obscene profit that they have no clue their thinking is out of balance with the community. They are also out of touch with the monstrous multi-million bonuses paid to their executives.
Hallelujah.
When they warn that the levy will be passed on to customers, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. I, for one, will be switching to one of the smaller banks if I see or hear one ad against the levy. What does the panel think about being threatened by the banks over the new levy? I, for one, congratulate the government for having the guts to take on the banks, and I encourage them to take on the mining companies again too. And if the banks do continue with a campaign of feigned indignation, then I say bring on the Royal Commission into banking. Let's clean up their ethics once and for all. Sean of Brunswick in Victoria. Margy, first up.
Well, I think any industry, it's very healthy to have people looking at it from another angle. Of course. So I actually think that's not a bad thing. I think that the banks could do with
You like the idea of a
having
Royal
a bit
Commission?
of a little bit of a reflection. I don't know if we need to go quite as deep as a Royal Commission.
Somebody
but I
looking
think,
over their shoulders.
Yeah, just a little bit of someone sort of, adjudicating from the sidelines wouldn't be a bad thing. And I think any sort of transparency in business is a good thing. And I definitely think in current business, it's all very important. And I think that the community demand that. So, no, I don't think it's a bad thing that banks sort of have to be a little bit accountable, because I actually think most industries in our country have to also sort of step on that bandwagon, and I think that it's a healthy way to sort of do business.
Darren?
I'll
No, sorry.
Okay.
That's the problem of having Darren and Darryl on the program. I'm going to Darryl. Sorry.
All right, so what really are we questioning? The levy? Is that what his whole argument is about?
Yes, he's complaining about the banks campaigning against the levy and wanting to pass it on.
I don't like banks either, mate. The fact that we have to deal with them is a pain in the ass. But that aside...
And the fact that they can charge you what they like without really justifying it and without actually offering much of a bloody service for the process too.
Change to Bitcoin quickly or some other
Change to
cryptocurrency.
There you go.
Something decentralised that they don't have complete control over. But look, mate, you have the right to be upset, and whether it takes on a Royal Commission or not.
Whether that'll achieve anything or
Yeah, that's a big question. So I'm not sure about that. I can't say yay or nay, but...
We asked that question to our online people. The question is, would you support a Royal Commission into banks? And the results are these on your screen right now. 60% said yes and 40% said no. The majority said yes.
Seems like a lot of people, Gary,
It
would
does,
like the
does.
banks to be accountable, would like the banks to be a little bit more transparent.
Every business should be.
There you go, that's the community standing up and saying this is what we
Absolutely.
expect.
The unfortunate thing is the banks don't really have to answer most people's complaints. They can just kind of get away with stuff, and that's why they continue to get away with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, you know, I'm with you. I make it 3. Not really a big fan of banks generally either. They're a necessity, so you know what? Make them more honest. Or
How would you feel if they actually passed on the levy to you? All of a sudden you were going to your bank.
I'd be ropeable. Absolutely. You know what? That is un-Australian.
Back, last word.
Oh, I don't know. Banks, you know, rhymes with something I'd like to say. Look, from what I know, which I have to say really isn't much, I think I pay enough levy to these greedy, money-hungry banks. But is switching to a smaller bank going to make?
Yes, because they don't get it.
But will
Banks
they
don't get-
eventually or
the
not?
smaller banks
So
don't
what do you
get
mean?
the levy.
Is that these community banks,
if you shop
like Bendigo and all those?
Shop
Really?
around, you might find one that doesn't do the fees, might have, you know, kind of cheaper
But
deals
yeah,
on
but in the big
things.
scheme of things, how much? What are you really going to be saving?
Well, you might.
Well, that's the principle, though,
How
isn't
many
it?
people actually do the research
Yeah, well, I think that's it. We're so busy, aren't we? It's
Yeah,
just, you know, I can't be bothered. Going to do it.
Convenience is
Do-
a big thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, those smaller institutions perhaps haven't got the convenience factor attached to them. Whereas the bigger institutions, they're everywhere. You don't, you know, like you said, that we're really busy people.
Yeah.
And so,
Are we actually ever really going to win?
Yeah.
I mean, are
Yes,
we really?
we are.
We will. We will. Okay.
Of course we
Do
are.
I support a Royal
Of course we
Commission?
are.
I'm not sure.
All of us
Will there
have to
actually
get
ever
on.
be one?
All of us have to get off our bums, though.
Well, that's the thing. We need to unite, and we need to
When we're
do
too
the Australian
when
thing.
we're too comfortable, we don't. The price of democracy is eternal vigilance for every institution within your body
Yeah.
politic.
What? That's profound.
It is. I'm good like that.
Gary, supporting small banks will make sure that the big banks, who always have to keep capital requirements and who own, you know, 1/3 or a quarter of our property and things like that, supporting a smaller bank will make a more even playing field. So there is some.
So I think
Do
I'm
we like
scared.
this
I
letter?
think I'm scared to take everything out of my big bank. I think that's what it is, and put it all into a smaller. I think I'm nervous about that. You know, taking everything out, home mortgage, car payment, you know, everything like that, and moving it to a smaller
Why
bank.
don't we pool our resources and make our own community level banks?
Well, isn't that funny?
possible.
That's being done
The
now.
bank of sweet and
it's-
sour.
And the same thing is being done with insurance as well.
Really?
Yeah, well-
lots of family groups are actually pooling
putting
their
their own-
insurance as well.
this
So
could
it
actually
can
be
done.
like the teller. How can I help you?
Yes.
Oh, that
I'm sorry, I don't like that background music.
Do we like this letter to give away the pair of limited edition sunnies courtesy of Alon Trades, or do we
Well,
like
I'm
another?
Aussie.
I love the
I'm Aussie.
Australian.
You like the
It's an
Australian?
Australian way
Don't wanna
to
make
give it
Values
to
for
the
money.
Australian.
Liana
Don't
of
wanna
Croydon
encourage the
in
banks.
South Australia
Not the
coming
banks.
out to you. A pair of limited edition sunnies. We've got to disappear because Brandon's holding up his hand and going, we got 1 minute to go. Good night, Des.
Good night, Mitch.
Nice to have you here, sir. Sorry it's been so long.
No, mate, that's all right. I'll turn up.
You'll turn up.
I'll turn up.
Beck,
Thank
will you turn up too?
Yeah, give
Good
me
to
a
have you
call.
here.
Nice panel tonight.
Yeah, good
fun.
panel tonight. Margy, good to have you, darling.
You know what? I love a little bit of sweet and sour.
You don't have to do the super now. Next time, if we can get some monkey bars, that'd top it off, Gary.
We got to go. Thank our wonderful panellists. Thank our terrific crew. And thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Good night, everyone. This is the part where you know,
we won't.
they've all been
We all
here
know.
before.
We
They all
won't.
know. They have to wave
You're
goodbye.
right.
We'll and I'll kiss you tomorrow.